from origination all the way to funding and closing, and even can do some servicing for you guys. All right, it's totally online. That means you can access it anytime, anywhere, 24/7, as long as you have a couple things. Obviously, you need a computer. You'll also need internet access, and you also have to run LendingQB via Internet Explorer. We don't handle any other web browsers. I know that's something in the future that we're looking into, but as of now, we only run off of Internet Explorer. Okay? To get to LendingQB, you can log in and type in the web address that you see up here, this crazy long one, or you can just type in securedlendingqb.com, and it'll take you to this login screen. Before you log in, there are a couple things I do recommend. First thing is to add LendingQB as a trusted site to your web browser. That way you won't have some crazy pop-up box. It just ensures that LendingQB will work and play with your web browser the correct way. If you know how to do it, great. If you don't, we do provide you with step-by-step instructions. All you have to do is click on that blue hyperlink that you see right here, and it'll actually give you step-by-step instructions. If it would actually load up, step-by-step instructions and the actual website that you need to enter in as your trust sites, so that it'll work seamlessly.
Okay.
Login password, they're all created by your admin team. They'll be given to you when you log in. All you have to do is type in that login and ID and password. Like any ID and password, you shouldn't really share it with anyone else. A couple reasons. One reason is all your contact information, your license information, all that stuff will be associated to your LendingQB ID. And also the system does keep an audit trail of what's done by the login ID. So obviously you don't want someone doing stuff on your files or in the system, and when your management team comes back, then we'll see it by the audit trail. It looks like it's you because by that user ID, all right? So once you log in, after you log in, type in your user ID and password, hit the login, it'll come to this screen right here. And this is what we call your home page, LendingQB home page. Now, my home page right now looks different from yours. It's going to be very, very similar, but it's going to look a little bit different. Main reason is because everything within LendingQB is actually designated by access levels. Depending on what access level your administration team has given you, will determine what you can and can't see within the system. Right now, I'm logged in as an administrator, so I have full access to every single screen and every single screen option. So for you as an underwriter, you might not have, you probably won't have as many options as you see what I have right now. All right. On the left side, you have your generic menu options. In the center, you'll have your pipeline view. Depending on how your administration team wants you to be set up, you might have multiple different tabs with different pipeline views. Okay. And on the right side, you have a quick search function. Quick search function just allows you to quickly search for a loan by these 5 criteria, either by loan number, first name, last name, social security, or property address. To do the search, all you have to do is, let's just say, for example, you just type in someone's last name. If you don't know how to spell their full last name, you can just type in the first couple letters, followed by the asterisk, and the system will do a full search of all the files in the system that you have access to with that prefix, right, with your results shown down here. If you want to refine your search, you can either use any of these menu buttons up here that you want. The left side search criteria are searching for individual loans, while the center here and on the right here will be searching for batch loans, obviously by that certain criteria, whether it be all loans assigned to a certain funder or all loans within a certain branch, loan status, or loan type. All right. To get back to your actual main pipeline, all you have to do is come back up here, click on the pipeline, and it'll take you back to your home page. So you can use the quick search. You have the advanced search, same thing like the quick search. Only difference is it takes you directly to this result page. You'd enter in your search criteria, and your search results will show down here on the bottom. So there's that. There's the quick search, there's the advanced search, and then there's the find loan. Find loans, essentially the same thing. Takes you to that same screen. Okay. We understand that every role has different pipelines they want to see, you know, depending on your role, and talk to your administration team which pipeline view that you should have. You should be defaulted to one that's called your simple pipeline, but if you need to add additional pipeline views, all you have to do is click on the add here. Give it a second to load up. and it'll have a list of all the different pipeline views that you can have. Essentially, a pipeline view is just a custom report your administration team has set up, and it's pulling those reporting fields onto the pipeline as your pipeline view. All right, so you have a bunch of ones that your administration team has already set up. If there's one of these reports that fits your criteria of what reporting fields you want showing up, great, choose it and use it. All right. If it doesn't, maybe you have a custom one where you want certain things to show up. You know, maybe you want one that has, like you see here, it doesn't have the loan amount. You want the loan amount showing. You know, but none of these reports have that. What you're looking for or the exact fields you want, tell it in your administration team, and they can create it for you, and then you can have access to it on this list to use it as your actual pipeline view. It's important to also update your pipeline view. You can have it to show that only the loans that you're assigned to, or all the loans you actually have access to. Like I said, you might have access to multiple loans. You might have access to other people's loans because you might need to cover someone else's desk. You know, in most cases, you're only going to use your loans that you're assigned to. But in those rare cases that someone's out and you're told, hey, you need to cover Carlos's desk. You know, you might want to change your pipeline view to all loans you have access to, so that way you can see the loans that he's assigned to, but you might actually, as an underwriter, also have access to that file too. All right, that's something to keep aware about. So you can actually add a new pipeline view. If you need to change an existing pipeline view, you can always go right over here to the change button. So instead of closing out the tab, you're just going to change what this tab is going to be. Same menu item that comes up, where you can choose the different pipeline views you want, and then replace what that tab is with the one you choose over here. So just to demonstrate real quickly, I'll show you one. Let's just say we just randomly pick one. And we just, let's just pick the simple pipeline view. And just like that, it's opened up another tab for you with a different pipeline view to look at. All right. Going back to setup items, just for you, Benita, there are a couple things I do recommend that you download program-wise, so you makes your life a little bit easier within LendingQB. Once again, it's not necessary, but it just maybe might save you a click or two in the future. It's just a one-time thing you download, so it's one of those things that you want to take the time to maybe take 5–10 minutes to download it now, and in the future it'll save you maybe like a couple seconds here or there. So over time it's going to add up, but it's not critical for the system. You can have it without it. You'll come over here to your left side menu, come down to download under your settings. And you're going to probably want to download a couple programs from here. All right. First one you might want to download is Browser XT. And this will allow you to export and import files in the KLS Point, Fannie Mae, or MISMO format in and out of the system. Maybe not that critical for you as an underwriter, more critical for a loan officer. That's something that they probably want.
Okay.
ePrint is another thing you might want to download. Allows you to print forms out of LendingQB. Without it, you still can print forms out of LendingQB. You know, only difference is without it, you would actually have to download that form as a PDF onto your desktop, open that PDF again, and then with the ePrinter, you can actually just go up to your web browser here and hit the print button and print directly out of LendingQB. All right. Last but not least would be the LendingQB vPrinter. Somewhat relevant, not really relevant for you guys as an underwriter. It's more for uploading documents directly into the eDoc system. eDoc system is an electronic storage filing cabinet where it's linked to each loan file. So each loan file has its own specific little eDoc folder to house all the documents that come in from the loan file. What the vPrinter allows is pretty much kind of like your Windows operating system, where you drag a file and drop it into a folder, and that's a way to actually upload documents into the eDoc system loan file.
Okay.
I personally don't really like the vPrinter, but I mean, it's one of those things that we've added in there, so it's just another way to upload things, and it might be helpful for you guys. I'm not going to go into detail about eDocs and the vPrinter because that is a separate training in itself, specifically to eDocs. But just know that the eDocs system is your electronic storage system, and the vPrinter is just for you to do a drag and drop to upload documents into the file system itself.
Okay.
All right. So that's the basic system setup. Normally, as an underwriter, you're probably going to open up multiple screens. You're going to have the loan file open on one screen. You'll have, obviously, LendingQB open on one screen. You'll have the loan file open in another screen. and you'll probably have your eDoc system opening another screen because you need, obviously, as underwriter, you're verifying documentation and stuff like that, right? Now, how a file gets to you, that's something you have to talk to your administration team. There's so many ways clients have set up a system where the file is actually assigned to you, or if you go and pick it up. In the past, I've seen where processors or whoever, right, will actually physically assign the loan to you, or they might actually drop it in the queue where you're as an underwriter, you'd go in and pick it up. So double check with your admin team of how you guys want to pick up files or how you get assigned files. To access a file, very simple. Just click on the loan number and then click on the edit button, and it'll actually open up the loan file in another window for you guys. Bring it back over here. Just give you a simple overview again of the system. Left-hand side is your menu items, all the different folders within the loan file that you might have access to. Once again, turn by access level. I'm accessed as an admin right now, so I have access to all the folders. As an underwriter, you might not have, you probably won't have as many folders to have access to. Okay. All the folders for the first time when you first enter a loan file, in the very first time, all the folders that you have access to will actually be opened up like this. I know when I was first learning the system, when I saw all this stuff open up, it was quite intimidating, you know. So my recommendation is, first time ever going into a loan file, close the folders all out like this, and then hit the Save Menu Layout. That way, every time you go into a loan file, all the folders will be closed out. Once you're more familiar with the system, you know exactly which folders that you need open that you always look at. At that point, reopen those folders that you actually need to use, and then hit the Save Menu Layout, and that way, every time you go in the loan file, those specific folders will be open for you. So your menu items on the left side. Let me go to a better page so it's easy to see certain things. All right, so you have your menu items on the left side. Up top, we have what you call your at-a-glance. It is pretty much just pretty much at-a-glance of what the loan file is. You know, I'll tell you who the loan officer is, your loan number, loan status, lock status, your ratios, your LTVs, your rate, your loan amount, and what type of loan it is. You know, and this will be on top of every single page within LendingQB. Okay, or within a loan file. And it will update accordingly. So as you update information, or as someone updates information on the loan file, all this information up here will update accordingly. On the right center side here is pretty much where you have your information, where you start entering in information within the loan file. All right. You have white boxes. White text boxes are exactly what they are for you to type in, manually type in stuff. Drop-down menus is just exactly that. It's a drop-down menu to make a selection on what we have. Next, some of these boxes you might see are white, while others are gray. Grayed out boxes are grayed out for a reason. It's grayed out because the system is either doing an auto calculation or it's pulling information from somewhere else within the loan file, and that's why it's grayed out. Typically, next to every grayed out box is a locked box. Locked box is not really what you think of it. It's not locking the box. It's actually locking the system out from doing that auto calculation or auto pull. Okay, so whenever you click on that lock box, it'll turn a gray field into a white field. My recommendation is try not to use a lockbox whenever you can. Because of auditing reasons, you probably want everything in the loan file to match. If you click on the lockbox and manually override what the system is calculating or pulling from, and you update that information, it will not go back and update those fields that it is pulling from or calculating from. All right. So when an auditor comes in, or maybe another underwriter or someone that looks at it, right, will say, how come it's calculating this or pulling this information over here, but it's showing something different over here, you know? So for the sake of consistency, my recommendation is always, if there is a lockbox, a grayed out box, and you need to update that information, go to the source of where it's being calculated from or pulling from and update it there. That way everything in the file will match. There are certain circumstances where you will use the lockboxes, but they are very far and few, okay? Also, there are blue hyperlinks. Blue hyperlinks will actually jump you to different parts of the loan file. So right now we're on the loan application folder in this loan info page. So if I were to click on the monthly income blue hyperlink, it will jump over to the monthly income section of the loan file. Now this brought me up to a really good point here. The system is a real-time system, so anytime it detects that you've updated information on the page and you try to transition to the next page, it will auto-prompt you to save if you've not already pressed save button before. If you're lazy like me, you just update all the information on the loan page and then wait till you transition to the next loan page and let the system auto-prompt you to save. If you're more a diligent person, you can come up here and hit the save button every time you make a change before you transition to the next page. We'll click on the blue hyperlink, and it should jump me to the, as you see, the monthly income page. The system works just like a web browser. So if you need to, go back to the prior page. Maybe you've been working on this page for a while, and then you go back to the prior page, but you forgot what page you're on. You can always hit the back button, and it will take you back to the page you were on previously. I'm not sure what your workflow is, so I'm just going to basically go over all the pages that you probably might go over as an underwriter, and then it's kind of on your administration team, or maybe yourself. You know, maybe you have a specific workflow of how you want to look at things. I'll explain all the different pages you might touch as an underwriter, and then it's kind of for you to figure out with you and your administration team of which order you want to hit that stuff. All right. So the most basic page is the first off foremost, it's the loan application folder, and you normally would start out on this loan info page. Pretty much the loan application page is the 1003, broken up into different sections, our own custom, well, not really our own custom sections, you know, but by the different sections within the 1003. If you're more comfortable looking at a standard 1003, by all means, we do have that in the system under the forms folder, and you can actually go to the 1003 and have the electronic 1003 looked at. Look at it just like you normally would with a normal 1003. Just an FYI, if you're trying to find something, let's say, because there's so many sub pages within each folder, and you're not sure, you can't find a certain page, you can always use the search tool up here to find that page. Let's say you were thinking of, where do I enter the assets? I don't remember where that page is, I can't find it. All you have to do is type in assets, and it'll tell you exactly where to find that page. And I'll go to that page once you click on it. All right, let me go back real quick. Go back to this loan info, start from the front. The list loan info page, this is the most basic page. Probably your loan officer and your loan processor will have filled in all this information for you guys. At this point, you probably just have to just verify that information off what they put in here versus what's on the 1003. Okay, basic loan information, your purchase price and down payments and all that stuff, your rates and all that stuff, your PITI payments. The subject property description page, this is where the actual subject property address is going to be entered in. The legal description, this is actually what's going to be printed on the 1003. While your short legal description, this is what actually prints on your loan documents. If it's a PUD or a condo, the project name should be in here. Flood zone and parcel number, they should all be entered in by your processor and stuff like that. Subject rental property screen, this is actually a very, very specialized page. It's only used in two circumstances. The first one is if it's an owner-occupied 2 to 4 unit property, or if it's a non-owner occupied property where you're using the rental income to qualify for the loan. And you can fill in the information here. All your other REO properties will actually be handled in your REO section over here. Okay? Refi and construction loan. This is, once again, a specialized page specifically for refi loans and construction loans. So if that loan falls within those two categories, these boxes will open up from being gray boxes to white text boxes, so you can enter in that information. Right now, the system knows that this file is set up as a purchase, so it's intuitive to know that since it's a purchase, none of this stuff applies, so that's why it's graded out, to prevent you from entering in information by accident. Borrower info, this is where you're going to enter in the borrower info and the co-borrower info. If you had a second 1003 application, because maybe that co-borrower is not a spouse, maybe it's a brother or a cousin or whatever, right? All those are not a spouse, so they need a second 1003 application. You would just come up here and switch between the two applications. Let me give you a demo real quickly. I didn't put one in here. So how your loan officers or processors, or even maybe yourself, you need to add a second 1003 application, you just come up here and hit the add and swap and just add a new borrower. At this point, the system will add in the second 1003 application, and you just enter in this information just as like before. I'll just save it like that. To switch between the two 1003 applications, all you have to do is come here from this drop-down menu, and then just highlight the application that you want to look at, and this file will switch back and forth between the two applications. If you need to delete someone or you need to switch their spots within the application, you can do so over here. So you can do the swap, whether if there was a borrow and co-borrow application, you can switch their spot on that 1003 application, or you can even delete them from the whole file, or you can select who's the primary 1003 application. So let's just say we deleted this application. All right. Just know that when you delete someone off the loan, delete the application off the loan, there's no hitting this back button to bring it back. It's a permanent delete. That's why you saw that pop-up box earlier asking you if are you sure you want to delete. So if you delete it and you need to put them back in, unfortunately, you have to manually type all that stuff back in. All right. Let's go back to borrower info. All this information should probably be already entered in by the processor or loan officer. I'm just going to call them the front-end users for now, just to save, make it easy. So all your front-end users should have already entered that stuff in. If they've already pulled credit, which they probably should have, all the aliases from the credit report will automatically populate over here on this hyperlink. Click on it. I do apologize. I know the system is running really slow today, actually for the past couple days. Right here. So all the aliases from the credit report will automatically populate over to this alias section right here. You can add as many as you need if you need to add some more, or you can delete them off if needed. There's going to be a power of attorney on the file. We've instructed your front-end users to actually notate something here, just to alert you as an underwriter that there will be a power of attorney on the file. They probably obviously won't know what the actual vesting is, but just some kind of note here. It'll be kind of like a verbal notification to you that, hey, there's going to be a POA, so condition the file accordingly. All right. Because it's an end-to-end system, that's why we recommended them to put that information there, just so you that, like I said, they can notify you just to be alerted that there will be a POA on the file. Title and estate. This is where the vesting is actually going to be put in. We're actually going to be built. Once again, you see these, how the names are going to show on title, be grayed out. Reason being is because this information is actually being pulled from the borrower information page. You do have the lock boxes, so they can update it, but once again, if you need to update that information, update it on the borrower info page. That way the names will actually appear exactly how they should be on title. How it's held, fee simple, or not fee simple, but like how it's held, how you want vesting to be, you can build it over here. Fee simple or leasehold, you can update that. Source of down payment in a purchase loan. You're going to want to list that source of down payment. You can do so with this drop-down list. These are all Fannie Mae categories, so it is a pretty comprehensive list. So you could use if it falls in any one of these categories, obviously pick that. You know, if there are multiple sources of down payment, obviously you can only choose one from the list. So choose one of them from the list, and any other sources of down payment, you can just manually type it over here on the text box line that we have down here. For title-only borrower, so that means you have a borrower that's only going to be title but not on loan, you can add their vesting over here by hitting on this blue hyperlink. It'll open a box, adding that vesting option and their information. And seller info, I believe this is only for Texas loans where you need to put the seller vesting, which you probably just take it from the existing title report. So just an FYI. If you don't deal with Texas loans, don't worry about it. I'm not familiar with it, but from my training, I believe that's what it was for, specifically just for Texas loans. Borrower employment, this is where the borrower employment will be entered in. Current employment up top, any prior or concurrent employment will be down here on the bottom. What you see in this menu layout is pretty typical within LendingQB when you have to enter in multiple sets of information. All right. Will you guys be doing the VOEs, or will that be the processor's job or someone else's?
I'm
Hello?
I think the processors have done it.
Okay, so you don't.
To my knowledge, I'm new, but to my knowledge, I think they're already done from what I've
Okay,
seen. I haven't really underwritten a file, but I've been reviewing the documentation, and it appears that that's how it's done.
okay, sounds good. Don't worry about the VOE, but you can actually create a VOE, the standard Fannie Mae VOE form. You can create it within the system by clicking on this Edit VOE. Um, Same thing for your prior employment. If you need to look at information or updated information about the prior employment, all you have to do is click on in this middle section. You have a list of all the prior employments, if there are any, right, or concurrent employments. Click on it. It should change the highlight, and then all you have to do is come down here on the bottom to update that information. All right. Also, if they're self-employed, the self-employed box will be checked off, and if it's a concurrent employment, like a second job, this checkbox will be checked off. Within the grid, you can always add. You can add more employments if needed. You can delete them out by highlighting and hit delete, or you can rearrange them if you need to. Maybe you want to put them in a chronological order or something like that. All you have to do is highlight, and then move up or down. You can reorder it as needed. Okay? Co-bar employment, exactly the same screen, but just for the co-bar option, so I'm not going to go into that. Monthly income. Monthly income, this is where you're going to enter in the monthly income. We have your different income categories split it out. If you have any other different types of income, we have down here, you can enter it down here. Indicate whether it's bar or co-bar. Once again, we have a Fannie Mae list of different income categories that you can choose from, and enter in that total right there, that monthly total. If there's more, you can add more lines if you need to be, or you can select them out if needed. Within the different categories of income, we do have a simple income calculator. That way you can quickly calculate that monthly income by however way that bar tells you. So if they said, you know what, Anita, I make $50 an hour and I work 40 hours a week, the system can automatically calculate real quickly what that monthly income is. All they have to do is hit OK, and it'll transfer that total calculated monthly income over here to the income section right over here.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Where would you enter income for a second job?
Second job, you would just enter it as part of your base income, add them together. You could do that, or you could designate it as the other type of income, and then use the other box, or you can manually type it in, say second job, like that. Only problem with when you're typing, if you're not choosing one of the categories here from Fannie Mae, is that when you run DU, it's going to give you a different type of finding, because normally if you choose one of these, it'll give you a specific finding specific to this income type. But if you do other, it's going to pop up a couple of weird ones. I'm not too familiar with DU, but I know that when you run it, it's going to give you just additional findings like, hey, what is this other?
That's precisely my point, because if you don't describe what the second job is, the DU will treat it as, and it will say just follow Fannie Mae guidelines. Whereas if you choose any of the other, then it'll condition accordingly.
Right, and that's kind of a limitation of the system.
Okay. I thought it was some other place, but that's fine. Thank you. I understand.
Yeah. No problem. So you have your different income category types. Same thing for base, overtime, bonus, commission, dividends, and interest. Your net rent, it's grayed out for raisins. The system will actually do that auto calculation based off the REO screen and your liability screen. Okay, so it will do an auto calculation over there, and that's why it's grayed out. For the application total, so just for this 1003 application, total income will be shown over here. Total down here is actually the total of all your 1003 applications. So if you have multiple applications, more than likely these two numbers will not be the same. This will be just for this application, while this will be for all applications combined. Other financing, this is where if there's a second lien on the property or on the house, or if there's going to be a second lien, this is where that information will be entered in. All that's needed is just the base amount and the rate. I'm running really slow. I can't keep up to me. Monthly terms, and the system will automatically calculate that monthly payment when it's entered in. Also, because the system is set up as a purchase, it knows that any second financing will have to be a new lien right now. So if it's refi and it's not, obviously this box will not be checked out. It'll be open for you to check or not check. If it's an interest-only second lien, click on the interest-only box, and we'll recalculate that monthly payment as an interest-only payment. If it's a HELOC, obviously this one will be checked off. I believe HELOCs are typically not qualified with a rate and term, but more of like a base payment, so or a monthly payment or something like that, right? So all you have to do is enter that payment amount, and that will be your monthly payment. Present housing expenses, pretty self-explanatory what that is. I'm not really going to go into it. That's where they enter in the present housing expenses. Assets, this is where the assets are entered in. Same like your employment screen, how the information is displayed. Retirement funds are entered up here. If it's a purchase, right, and there's a cash deposit, you'll enter who's holding it here and the amount that's being held over here, with the total of all your assets shown over here. We've instructed in the past, I know Tina has, and I've been working on this to remind myself to do that when I do training. We've been reminding our users, front-end users, when they enter in this information, right? That cash deposit, make sure it's cleared the account already, all right? If it hasn't cleared the account, either don't enter it here or subtract it already from your B of A account, or from one account that's supposed to come from, That way you're not double counting that $5,000 cash deposit. Because if it hasn't cleared the account, that means technically, you don't know if it's an additional $5,000 or is it that $5,000 within that $25,000. So you get an accurate reflection of their assets. Make sure.
Okay, excuse me. So you're saying that if we have not verified the source of the cash deposit, don't list it there, correct? Okay.
Correct. Essentially, yeah. Works the same way as your employment screen to update information and to move it around. So I'm not going to go into we saw that before, so I don't think we need to go over that again. Oops, sorry, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, my computer just froze. Sorry about that. All right. REO section, this is where the REO properties are going to be entered in. Any REO properties. Same kind of menu layout that you saw prior. You have your addresses here, type of property is, what status it is, depending on your guidelines, what the occupancy rate is. Your users are instructed to only enter in the market value and the gross rent and any non-escrow payments. And I'll show you in the next screen how we link it together. All right, but right now, based on your liabilities, it'll link over and automatically calculate cash flow based on what the liability is, what your gross rent is, and the occupancy rate is. All right, so we'll get back to that in just a bit. But all your REO properties will be listed over here. Liabilities. This is your liability screen. This is where everything from the credit report has been pulled in. Everything from the credit report will be pulled in and shown on this grid in the middle here, just like you saw in the previous section, the different grids, same usage of how it works. All right. If you actually want to see the most current credit report, you can. All you have to do is click over here, hit the View Credit, and this will display the most current credit report that was pulled. So you can view it here, or you can actually come down here to Services and hit the View Credit Report. And same thing, same credit report. Or you can actually go into your EDOC system. The system will automatically save in the EDOC system a copy of the credit report that was pulled. Within the grid, they'll show whether debt is a borrower or co-borrower debt, what type of debt it is, who's the debt to, the balance, the monthly payment, whether it should be paid off or not, or whether they're not are used in the ratios or not. If you need to pay off a debt, you can just highlight that debt, come down here and click on the will be paid off. It'll automatically just select this checkbox for the debt to be included ratios because it'll take it out of the ratios. And once you hit save, it'll automatically update the grid accordingly.
I have a question.
Sure.
If by any chance some of the accounts were deleted and we want to put them back in, populating from the credit report. Is there any way of clearing all these accounts and populating the entire credit report?
You can. Essentially, you'd have to reorder the whole credit report. There's no way to just upload credit report information. So you'd have to either reorder the credit report, and then when you do that, it'll actually prompt you. There's two prompts. One will be, do you want to replace everything on this grid with what's on the new credit report, or do you want the new credit report just to update the existing grid? So you have a choice of replacing everything or just updating what it sees new when you order the new credit report. Other than that, the only manual way to do it is actually clicking on the add button, and then you type
go
in
one by one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Let me delete that one out there. So that's one way. I'm going here, update the checkboxes, right? Will it be paid off or not? Maybe for whatever reason, your guidelines say that even though you're paying off, that debt still needs to be included in the ratios. Just come back here and recheck it and save it, and that way it'll update the grid accordingly. Yeah.
I have a question. You just said that you cannot update credit. You have to order a whole new credit report?
If you need to update this grid, right, if you want to do a mass update, there's no button to just upload the current credit report that we have, like right here, and re-update this grid. You either need to order or reissue the credit report.
Reissue, not reorder. Reissue it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't have to order a whole new credit report. You just have to reissue the credit report.
Correct. Correct. Sorry, my.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
No problem. If you're paying off debts and stuff like that, maybe it's an installment debt, and depending on your guidelines, right? Maybe you're within, I don't know what the guidelines are now, but let's say within 6 payments of paying it off, you can exclude it from the underwriting. Just click on this checkbox, and it'll exclude it from underwriting ratios. All right. So you can update all this information as needed. There's another way to look at the payoffs and stuff like that. It's right up here on the view. Right now, we're looking at the most default way is the liability details. But if you want to do debt consolidation, you can. Same information, it just lays out the information a little bit differently within the grid, and just makes paying off stuff a little easier. You know, instead of going to each individual one and showing as marked as paid off, you can just come up here and just re-click the information on the grid that you saw earlier, just what's being paid off and what's used in ratio. You can have it set up so that it automatically recalculates everything down here. The loan's set up as a purchase, so the information right here doesn't really make sense. But if you were set up as a refinance, this information would all update accordingly, and then the system will also spit out what those monthly savings would be after you start paying off debts and stuff like that. All right. So you can do the payoff on either one, but it's just that this is just easier for when you do refinances, you're doing multiple payoffs, you know, instead of when you're in this screen. So right here on this one, you can just click off the box. But on that first screen that we saw, it would actually update again. Come on. All right. So instead of in this screen where you actually have to come in each one, make that update here, and then hit the save button, you know. It's just an easier way to look at things and quickly do things. But works just the same way. For your mortgage liabilities, the ratios will always say CREO. This is so your processors, your front-end users can link that REO property to that debt. I remember when I was a junior underwriter and we were looking at different loan files, you'd see people with like 5 or 6 properties and 5 or 6 mortgages on the credit report. You'd have no idea which one goes to which one, right? So with this one, we can link them together. That way, as an underwriter, it'll be easy for you to notate what goes to what. All they have to do is come down here, highlight that mortgage liability, look at the property addresses. We'll have a list of all the REO properties that were previously entered in on that previous screen. And all they do is hit add balance and payment to REO. Just like that, it's linked together. If you were to go back to the REO screen, you'll see that now we've linked that B of A mortgage to that REO property, it's filled in the mortgage amount and the mortgage payment and calculate that monthly cash flow for you guys. Now, this is one of the rare instances that you would actually use the lockbox. Maybe on their tax returns, they actually show that, the calculations are what they are. You've entered in the information as it is. The system's calculating that this is the actual cash flow. Or maybe on the tax returns, they show something different, on the tax return, they show they actually have $1,000 cash flow a month on that property, This is that rare instance you use that lockbox. You're not going to want to change this information because they are what they are. You just use the lockbox, override the system, what it calculated, notate it somewhere on the file, whether in the conversation log or, I believe you guys are using conversation logs within the task list. If not, notate in the file that you've overridden it or whatever, right, that you're using the tax return to verify that cash flow is correct. Whatever information is entered in here will automatically flow back to the monthly income section in the net rent. If it's a positive cash flow, it'll flow onto the 1008 as income. If not, it will actually go into the, I don't even know what that section is called off the top of my head. Let's go over there. It'll actually show up over here on your negative cash flow section if it is a negative cash flow. If it's a positive cash flow, it'll show over here as part of your income on your 1008. All right. Liabilities, declarations, government monitoring, loan officer licensing, probably nothing that you really need to worry about as an underwriter. Continuation of data, I've never seen it used before, but I'm not been in the industry or been as experienced as maybe some of you guys are, but I've never really seen this used before. But just in case, I would say just check it just to make sure that no one's put any information here or put some notes in here or something like that. Price my loan engine, this is not something you'd use as an underwriter. You guys will actually use something else called check eligibility. It's just pretty much a scaled down version of the price my loan engine. Just note that the price my loan engine is what it sounds like, but more than what it sounds like. All right, it is a pricing engine, but it's also an AUS engine. It looks at the government guidelines, your company guidelines, and your investor guidelines, and the credit report if the credit report's on file. After looking at all that information, it does its little stuff. It does its underwrite, and it'll tell the user, it'll spit back the results of the user of what loan programs are eligible and at what price points. All right. So if the information is accurately entered in and is accurate in itself, if the borrower didn't lie to you or anything like that, and everything's entered in correctly, you can be pretty confident, you and your users can be pretty confident that if the engine says, hey, this this borrower is eligible for this program in this product, you can be confident that it is a fundable loan. All right. Upfront MIP, this is if there is mortgage insurance needed. I know for FHA loans, it's called something else. I'm not versed in FHA, but I know it's not called mortgage insurance. It's called something else. It's also dealt with on the screen. All right. If mortgage insurance is needed, the system will automatically pull a quote from your MI companies. All right, and will update all the information on this page for you. Only thing you really need to know that is it's only a quote. Ultimately, you still need to go to that MI provider's webpage, get the actual final numbers, and update this page accordingly, and just update all the information as needed. Okay. Last but not least, within the actual loan application folder is the details and transaction. And all this stuff will actually flow over from the loan file as you enter it in. So you just all you really need to do is just verify the information. Only thing I would suggest is to unclick the lock boxes here so that all the actual information from the GFE and all that stuff will flow over and calculate correctly. Another folder you might be working out of is the underwriting submission folder. Subject property details. This is for you to review. There's nothing for you to really touch, I don't believe. All the information should flow over from the loan file onto this page. So you're only just verifying information has been entered in correctly. Same thing with pretty much the 1008, single or combined. All that information should flow over from the loan file as it's being updated and stuff. Underwriting. The underwriting folder is probably where, before you actually do underwriting stuff, sorry, I'm just jumping kind of all over the place on all the different folders, but At this point, you might want to run DU or LP prior to actually looking at conditions and stuff like that, or looking at documents and stuff like that, just to get your initial findings. To do so, all you can do is click on, if you go to the underwriting page and go to submit to DODU or submit to LP, click on it. I believe your administration team has already linked your, actually I don't know, but it can be, so double check with them. But they can link your DO or DU, not LP, just DU, right? Your DU credentials to your LendingQB ID. So all you have to do is actually hit the Submit to Desktop Underwriter, and it'll automatically log in for you. You won't see this login page. It'll automatically log in. It'll open up the Fannie Mae website on a second web browser for you. Do all you need to do on that web browser. As soon as you close that web browser, the system will automatically pull those findings and upload those findings into the LendingQB system for you. All right.
Just so you guys know, running DO, not DU.
CO?
Yes.
Yes, we're
Okay.
running DO.
Okay, so same thing. You can run DO same way. Only difference is LP. There is no auto login. LP, because it's a dual stage authentication process, and the system LendingQB can't handle it. It would still be exactly what you saw here. Where we saw that pop-up box. You would have to manually enter in your login credentials for LP. Okay, but same thing. It opens up the second website. You close it out. Information imports back over. I'm not sure how you guys are set up. Sonia, do you guys, when you import the findings, do they import in as conditions, or do you just import the findings into the findings section?
That's Amy. That's a question for you. How do you guys upload them?
What is it?
How we
The conditions, the LP findings.
the LP finding.
LP finding is uploaded directly. You just have to send it to the system.
Okay, so they're not coming in as conditions. I know some clients have it set up where they actually populate onto conditions list. So for you guys,
Is that a possibility, David? Is that a possibility when we run it for it to actually just upload automatically, just like the credit?
it can.
And we don't want that.
We don't want that.
Okay.
I know a lot of clients don't like it, but it is an option. But it's
Got it.
all, they can't have certain ones upload versus other ones don't. You know, it's either they all upload, and every time you rerun it, it will upload and look for duplicates.
No.
Okay, so right now, it will not. So if you want to see those findings, all you have to do is hit the View Findings here, right? And it'll show you a pop-up list of the most current findings. If you've run DO or LP multiple times, you want to go back to that first time you ran, see those findings the first time, you will have to go to your eDoc system and pull it out from your eDoc to look at, okay?
It will not show your findings if you do not send it to the system until it updates the system with DO, you guys, just so you know. So if you don't tell the system to update, it's not going to show any findings.
Correct. QM, this is where we do the system will do its automatic QM calculations for you guys. If you want to, there's not much for you to touch actually here. It's all just for verification, just so you can see what's calculated out, what the values we're looking at, and how it pulls out, and the results are down here. If it's a green check, obviously means QLGL, it's passed the test. If it's a red X, that means it's failed its test, right? Only thing you might want to update is if you verify income assets and who's the qualifying agency, all right? And that'll update the QM status accordingly. If you actually want to see what those actual values are it's pulling from for those points and fees test, all you have to do is click on the QM point and fees tab. It'll have the breakdown of all your different fees, what they are, who's it paid by, if they're APR or not, if they're third party or affiliate. If it's a third party, I believe it doesn't count towards the QM calculations, but if it's a third-party affiliate, it will count against your points and fees test. Usually, you probably won't have to touch anything here. It's just more for you to look at, to verify, make sure that they are checked off accordingly. Conditions, this is where you can add in conditions. Let's open up this page up so you can look at it. Looks like you have some automatic conditions automatically fire out, which is great. On the conditions page, you can reorder the conditions to whatever order you want. By clicking on right here, dragging and dropping it wherever you want, or you can move it up and down one by one. If you want to see the actual audit trail of the condition, you can click on the view here, And right down here, you can see the audit trail of how it was entered in and stuff. More details about the condition itself. You can change condition categories off. If you need to add conditions, multiple conditions, looks like your administration team has set up some general conditions, general verbiage that you can use. All you have to do is click on the ones you want to use and hit the insert, and it will insert the ones that you've checked off onto your conditions list. Give it a second run, and right down here we've added it down here. If you have those one-off conditions, maybe it's very unique this loan file. At this point, you'd hit the Add Condition button. You probably don't want to update the task permission. Pretty much task permission is just designating who's in charge of pretty much who can sign off on it and not. You can update that as needed. If it's a condition, obviously this condition we checked off, what category it goes into, any internal comments, or any general comments that you want to add to it. You can add it in there. If you want to make it specific to a loan document, maybe it's a condition that I don't know how you guys are run, but I know some companies allow processes to sign off on some low-level conditions. So maybe this is a low-level condition that you don't really want to come back to for you as an underwriter to deal with. It's something simple that you can say that, the process can sign off on it. But just to have a safety sake, I'm going to require that actually has to have that specific document in the loan file before you can sign it off, all right? So maybe it's just like, let's just say a driver's license, So you can make it contingent that, yes, you're going to make it allowable for a processor to sign off on it, but they can't sign off on it unless the system detects that there is that driver's license in the eDoc system. So that's a little bit of check and balance that you can add in there. All right, so that's the condition screen. The approval certificate, this is if you're generating that approval certificate, once you've done your initial underwrite, you've underwritten the file, and you're ready to approve it. All you have to do is update this information. All this information here actually should automatically populate as stuff comes in. These dates will automatically show what the expiration date of these documents are. The qualifying score is the low-mid score, I believe, of the 3 credit scores. Max DTI, it's up to you to know, check on the investor to see what their max DTI is. Whatever that max DTI is, the system will automatically calculate what the max rate allowable is. Allowable rate for that approval for this loan program. All right. The approval expiration date will actually be, you can actually manually override it, but the system will automatically populate the approval expiration date to the earliest expiration document date. So if, let's just say, these were all due in, let's just say, December, right? But this bond document was only good until 8/1. The system will automatically default the expiration date to the earliest document expiration date. Because technically, once that document expires, technically you really won't have an approval. But if you're in your case, if you don't care, or in any case it doesn't really matter to you guys, you need to update it accordingly, you can always use the lockbox and override it. If you want to include all the conditions, go ahead.
The max rate, I've noticed that in some files it wouldn't populate from wherever it populates when you put the DTI. Is there anything that we can do or we should do so that happens all the time?
I don't think so. But if that's something that's happening on a regular occurrence, can you give us a screenshot and also notate the loan file and send it to my support team and they can research it more and see what's going on?
Okay, thank you.
I don't know off the top of my head, and it shouldn't be doing that. Before you generate the approval certificate, you want to update these check boxes if you want to have that underwriter contact info or the junior underwriter contact info, and you want to include clearing conditions because this will only populate, if you don't check this off, it will only populate on the approval certificate, only active conditions. All cleared ones will be not put on that approval certificate. To generate the approval certificate, all you have to do is click on the Generate Approval Certificate, and it will generate that approval certificate. It'll save a copy of that in your eDocs, and once it opens up, it'll give you an option: save it to the loan file, save and print it out, or you can send it out as an email to that borrower or whoever you need to send it out to. Just note that when you send it out as an email, the Social Security number will be redacted. Just your typical approval certificate with your conditions. The conditions will populate exactly how it's shown on the condition list presently, all right? So if you want a specific order that it's showing up on the approval certificate, make sure to reorder it on this approval certificate right here. I mean, on this condition list, all right? So put the conditions on the condition list, the exact order you want it, so reorder it the way you want it, and then generate the approval certificate, and that's how it'll show up. All right? Suspense notice, this is if you need to suspend the loan, same thing, I mean, same exact thing, just like the approval certificate, so I won't go into detail how to actually put it together, but same exact thing. Condition sign-off, this is a specific page set up for you as underwriters, you know. We know that when you're signing off conditions, when that file comes back after you approved it, conditions come back in, you need to sign off conditions. It's going to be a hassle to actually open up multiple screens, right? Technically, when you're originally on your conditions page, not only would you have your loan file open, you'll have your conditions list open up, you'll have Lending QB homepage, whatever else thing on your screen. We know that that's already a lot of stuff on your screen, and it's kind of overwhelming, you know. And that's why we created this condition sign-off page, just specifically for signing off conditions. Your front-end users have been trained so that when documents come in, they should be linking the documents to that specific condition. That way, when you come to this condition sign-off page, you don't have to open up your eDocs. You can actually access that condition or that document from that condition for that condition right over here on this condition sign-off page. All you have to do is hit the Open Docs. It'll open up the editor, and you can exactly see this paycheck stub that's linked to this condition. It actually opens up.
This will only happen if the condition was actually labeled correctly. Is that right?
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
It's not loading up for me. Anyways, if you need to, once the condition actually opens up, obviously it's not opening up for me right now, but you can highlight stuff, just drag it down, highlight what you need to highlight, resize the box. If you need to add notes, you can add your notes here. If you need to take off the notes, just click on the note itself and hit remove, or the highlight, hit the remove button, it'll take it off.
I've noticed that when you use the highlight and you save the document, you come back at a later date, and those highlights have moved within the document. Is there something that we can do to prevent that?
I have not heard that. So once again, if you see that, take a screenshot, give us the loan number, and we'll research that for you. But it shouldn't be. It should stay exactly where it should be.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So document, right? You can rename it to a different doc type. Maybe they named the wrong thing, right? Because within eDocs, there's different folders. Within each folder, there's a specific. Each document needs to be linked up to a specific doc type, so the system knows exactly what we're looking at. If the front-end users has associated it incorrectly, you can update it as such. You can make your update and rename and put it in the exact folder and doc type that's needed to match up to what it is. All right. So you can look at it. If everything's good and it satisfies the condition, you can just click on Satisfy Condition. It'll automatically protect this document. The document will actually go into a protected status. And that way, that's for you to notate to your back-end users, pretty much every user. This is the final document. I'm the underwriter. I looked at this document to satisfy this condition. This is the final document that we're going to actually send to the investor to satisfy this condition. So that's just to notate to all the users this is the final one. All right? If it doesn't satisfy, obviously click on the does not satisfy, add in your reason, and then say it rejects it. Reject it for this condition or reject it for all the conditions. Because technically, you can link a document to multiple conditions because it might satisfy multiple conditions. It might not fit for this specific condition, but it might satisfy for another one. So it's up to you to reject it out either for all your conditions or just for a specific one. All right. If it's something very basic that document that you can look at. So you can either sign off, once you've satisfied the condition, you would actually come over here and hit the sign off button to sign off that condition. And this will officially sign off that condition. It'll gray it out. And actually, when we reload the screen, it'll actually put that signed off condition to the very bottom of your list. Right here on the bottom. All right? If you need to add in condition, maybe while you're working on these sign-off conditions, right? Your sign-off conditions, you're looking at conditions, you notice, hey, this prompted me that I need a condition for something else. You can add that condition, that new condition right over here by hitting add condition, just like you did on my condition screen. Put in all that information, hit the save, and it'll add the condition to the bottom of the list. Well, obviously, not the bottom on the list, on the bottom of the active ones, and all your highlighted, the signed-off ones will be on the bottom grayed out. Community lending, if you guys do any community lending, you'll enter in that information here. Check eligibility, this is what I talked about earlier. It's a condensed version of the price loan engine. This is just basically for you to recheck. You know, your front-end users have already registered a loan or requested a rate lock on a specific loan program or product, right, at a specific rate. This is just for you as an underwriter to come back in after you made all your conditions, you've updated the file and stuff like that, just to make sure all these updates that have taken place, after the updates have taken place, to make sure that the file still fits within that requested loan program, right? Not only will it show the loan program the front-end user requested or the borrower requested, the loan officer requested, right? It'll also show all the other eligible loan programs that are similar to the ones that they requested, whether they're eligible or not. Now, depending on your management team, whether they allow you to do this or not, you might actually switch it from what they requested to something else. You know, maybe because you have experience. You know that Stonegate is more lenient than American Home or AmeriHome, right? Maybe they have a certain condition that they're more strict on, or they take longer to buy loans back from you, or they're just going to give you a harder time, but the pricing is pretty much exactly the same, you know. So maybe at that point you might want to switch to a different loan program. But this is, like I said, it's your manager's team. You got to work with them and find out if it's allowed or not, or is it just you need to always just make sure it's eligible for that same loan program that they just ran, that the front-end user requested. All right. Well, just once again, this will do a full check. It's an AUS engine, government guidelines, investor guidelines, your company overlays, and the credit report, and look at all the information on the loan file to determine whether or not that requested loan program that the front-end user is requested on is still eligible after you've updated all that information. All right. Kind of skipping backwards a little bit now. On your general, the status section page, the status folder on the general page, this will have all the dates and everything of all the documents and all the loan status as the loan progresses back and forth, or not back and forth. It should always move forward, but as it progresses from one stage to the next. So most likely you'll probably see a submitted date already entered in when it's gone into when you first pick up the file for the first time as an underwriter. So when you actually pick it up, our recommendation is actually put it into in underwriting. That way everyone will know. If they look at it, they'll see that, oh, it has an in underwriting date. That means it's in underwriting at this date, and that's what you're working on the first time. When you actually issue your approval certificate, the approved date will actually automatically put in there. And then I'm not sure which one of these you use, but if the file comes back into you guys after it's been approved, conditions come back in, you'll probably use one of these statuses to indicate that you are re-looking at them again. Once you're actually done to the doc drawer's desk so they can start drawing docs. Automatically assign it to them. This is where you would do it. You come over here to the doc drawer section. Hit assign, and then choose the doc drawer that's geocodes should be automatically already uploaded in. All they have to do is hit the import geocode, go to the government website and pull those codes, update it there. In those rare instances that you actually have to deny a loan, you can do so here on the HMDA stakeholder report screen. All you have to do is enter in the denial reason, and the system will automatically check off the loan was denied, the date it was denied, and who denied it. If you hit save, it'll automatically also update the general screen and update the denied date, and also put the loan in the denied status. You guys have any questions? I know we ran over a little bit over, but system is pretty simple to use, I think. I've used multiple systems in the past. It's comparable to any other system, I believe. I'm not saying ours is the greatest or ours or other systems better or whatever, you know. I mean, each one has its plus weaknesses and strengths. But like any other system, it's fairly simple. It's just remembering where things go. The best way to learn the system is to go in there and play with it. Nothing you can do can actually break it. I mean, anything you do, my support team can actually go back in there and fix it. It's just a matter of how long it takes them to get back there to fix it, you know, how much time it's going to take them to fix it. If you can, go in there, play with it. We have a couple resources for you guys if you need help on stuff, all right? Main one is this video, this training video being recorded. I'll give it back to Sonia so she can keep it on her record, so if you guys ever need to refer back to it, you can look at it. You also have your management team. You know, they should be somewhat well versed in the system, so they should be able to answer some questions for you, or your colleagues, you know, who've been using the system more or longer than you have. They can probably help you too. We also have our instant support. That's to our support team, available Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's an instant chat, so if you ever need a question, you can click on that instant support link, type your question into them, just like any instant messenger, and they'll respond back. They're pretty quick usually, you know. Longest I ever wait was like 2-3 minutes before I got a response back, but it's available Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're not going to wait for them. We're just going to end that. We have email link. You click on the feedback and questions. You can enter in what that subject is, type in your question, and they'll respond back probably within like 24 to 48 hours. All right. And last but not least, we have our help link. Frequently asked questions. We have training videos, short 2 to 3 minute videos. Each system's kind of customized to each client, you know. They took all the videos out. Oh no, they didn't. So each system's kind of tailored to each client, but these videos are generic enough so that you should get a good, you should get enough understanding of what they're trying to do, so you should be able to apply it to your system. You know, most of it is pretty much the same. There might be small little quirks that are different, but like I said, it's generic enough that you should be able to figure out what you need to do. So we have the training videos, we have the frequently asked questions, and we have our update history. Just kind of gives the history. We stop using the history. We actually have a blog link. Click on the blog link. It'll show an update history of all the stuff that we've updated. We usually do a major update every 60 to 90 days, but on a daily basis, we do have small little super minor tweaks on a daily basis. You know, so if you're ever interested, find out what they are. Click on the blog link, and you can kind of look at all the stuff that we've updated and stuff like that. Last but not least, you can always email the training team. Training team, that's funny. It's only one person. It's the only team that's the head trainer, you know. So sometimes I dive in there to help her out and answer questions, but normally it takes about 72 hours or more to respond back. So if you need a quicker response, definitely go to the support team. They're well versed in the system. You're actually more well versed than I am myself. You know, that's why they're in the support team, and they'll be able to answer all the questions that you might have. All right, guys. Do you guys have any questions, concerns?
Oh, this has been great. Thank you.
No problem. Sonia, anything from you?
No, thank you so much. David, just a quick question. How are you going to be able to send us that recording?
Yes.
Okay,
it's
awesome.
Not going to come from me. It's going to come from secure file. It's going to be like, just look for secured file transfer. It's our
wonderful
thing that sends, because it's always going to be too big to send via email. So we have a special link that just look out for, and I'll send you instructions how to access it. So.
Will do. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. So, just any additional questions? Are we supposed to email training, or should we email you directly, or how does that work?
Any additional questions? Email support.
Okay.
And